Alright, 2 more Token Ranbu lineups today, so let's begin. But first, cards from the last few days. I'm going to start off with cards from the second D booster set, which I'm going to be honest, most of them are not that great, but I am going to go over some of them that are actually decent. So the first one is the Dragon Empire, Blaze Maiden Tanya. Grade 2, tank your power and skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, cost count plus 1, choose a grade 0 from your drop zone and call it to rearguard. Sure, it does sound like it is for your overdress deck, which because you can call the Trickstar, which is a grade 0, but you can always call a trigger unit as well, so there's always that purpose, and it can also be a booster. Because its second skill, Auto Rearguard, when this card attacks, costs Soul Blast 1, choose one of your grade 0 units and gets plus 5k power until the end of turn. So overall, it's not too bad. First skill gets you a Recycle 1, and then the second skill gives it extra boost because you're calling back a booster. So overall, not too bad. Next, for the decent Final Rush card, Diablo's Edge Grand Lee. Grade 2, tank your power and skills. At rearguard, costs Soul Blast 1, into the end of turn, your opponent cannot intercept, and if you are in Final Rush, this card gets plus 5k power. 15k attacker for the whole turn and prevents your opponent from intercepting. Sure, that doesn't really do much, but hey, it could be effective sometimes. Next, for Cater Sanctuary, we got Heavenly Staff of Kind Intention Kotetsu. Grade 3, 30k power and skills. When your drive check reveals this card, you may call this to an open rearguard, and then this card gets boosted into the end of turn. So, definitely made for Bastion in mind, but you can always play this in the Sorceress based deck because you can manipulate it with the top cards of your deck, which will secure this call a little better. And there's also potential for this card because if there's grade 3s in the front row that could retire themselves, well, if you have this card in the deck and you drive check this card with Bastion or even any other archetype, this could combo with an extra attack. So overall, it's okay. Now the real good card for the second booster set so far is a Cater Sanctuary Order card, Lineup Chosen Knights. It's a grade 3 normal order and its skill is cost, counter blast 1, soul blast 1. Perform all the abilities below according to the number of grade 3 units on the field. 2 or more, choose one of your units, gets plus 5k power. 3 or more, draw a card. 4 or more, choose one of your Vanguards, it gets drive plus 1. This card is definitely made for Bastion. And of course is one of those cards that gets stronger for every card that you have on the field. In the 2 or 3 or more unit abilities is actually not too hard for Bastion, but 4 or more can be a little difficult, but it's definitely good as well. Especially that extra drive check is very beneficial because it will give you another chance for a drive check of grade 3 for Bastion. And now for the Token Ranbu cards, Sumaru Kuninaga. Grade 2, tank power and skill is Auto Rearguard. At the end of the battle, this card attack, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost counter blast 1, soul blast 1, choose one of your rearguards in the same columns as this unit and exchange positions with this unit. Aqua Force Token Ranbu. Now the only thing is, considering that you want your back row unit to be unboosted as well, this is only going to come in with a 10k swing and your opponent's Vanguard has to be at least grade 3, which is going to be 13k. So unless if you have another unit that could give another unit power, this is pretty weak. But luckily you do have some Token Ranbu archetypes that can give your units power. Especially with the next one, Shoku Daikari Misutada, which is a grade 2, tanky power and skillless. Auto, when placed on rearguard from hand, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost counter blast 1, your whole front row gets plus 5k power until the end of turn. That's pretty good, at least it's not one unit, like most of them. Second skill, Auto Rearguard. When this card attack hits a Vanguard, costs Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and retire it. And also brings pressure. But overall, you only use this card mainly for its first skill, but it's pretty good. Next, Takogane Sadamune. Grade 1, 5k power, and its skill is Auto, when placed on rearguard, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost counter blast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand, call them to rearguard, and then if you call 2, draw a card. So basically like V Maka from Shadow Paladins. But instead, you have to call 2 cards, although that shouldn't be too hard since it could be any 2, so there is that. It's just a counterblast to draw a card, really. Next, Ukurikara. Grade 2, tank power and skillless. Auto Rearguard, when this card attacks while not boosted, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost counterblast 1, this card gets plus 10k power to the end of the battle. If you have no face-up cards, 15k power instead. Mass power is pretty nice. Definitely best for the archetype that uses up all its counterblast for this, but there's also the part where, since it says while not boosted, there is that one archetype, which I don't remember, that focuses on resting your rearguards or power, so you can always make use of this card with that as well. There's also the position swapper as well, so keep that in mind. Next, Sachomao. Grade 2 tank power and skill is auto when placed on rearguard. If you persona ride this turn, counter charge 1. It's okay. Next, Sohayano Shirugi. Grade 2 tank power and skill is auto rearguard. When this card attack hits a Vanguard, cost counter blast 1, discard a card from hand, choose one of your Vanguards, and search one card with the same card name as that unit. So it basically brings pressure and becomes a persona ride searcher. It's not too bad. I mean, we don't have that many cards that search for persona ride other than for attack hit type cards so far. So bringing that pressure can actually be very helpful. And then we got a pair. The first one is Nagason Kotetsu. Grade 2, tank power and skill is count rearguard. If you have another unit with Kotetsu in its name, this card gets plus 5k power. Yes, on both players' turns. Not that great, but the next one is actually pretty important for an archetype, which is actually going to be part of the Tuesday stream. Because the next one, Urashima Kotetsu, is a grade 1 with 5k power, with its skill being count rearguard. If you have another unit in the same column as this unit, this card gets plus 5k power. Both players' turns. It may be not that great. Yes, it's a grade 1 with 10k power, and it's permanent if you're able to fulfill the condition. Although you're kind of guaranteed to fulfill the condition if it's behind a Vanguard now, is it? So you do have that. But on that, this is actually just really part of a new archetype for a ride line. And then we go to another pair, which both have the same skill, Namazao Toshiro and Honebame Toshiro, which both have the same skill. Auto when placed on rearguard from hand, cost counter blast 1. Choose one of their partners from their drop zone and call it to rearguard. So basically recycling a booster, it could be an additional attacker, so that's pretty nice. Also has some applications with a ride line that we're going to have today, because that one requires you to have a full field for full benefits, so you do have that. And there's also some archetypes that require you to have more rear guards for more power, so this also can get you some regenerated power. And now for the Tuesday stream, let's start off with the Yamanbagiri Hinerito ride line. Here's a starter. Let's move on. To himself as Sento, which its skill is auto when rolled upon by his Toku self, cost counter blast 1, draw a card, which is okay. And of course plus 2k power during your turn on rearguard. To his Toku self, which of course has the grade 2 base stats, and its skill is auto when this card is rolled upon by his Kiwame self, cost discard 1 card from your hand, search your deck for a copy of Kiwame self, and put it to your hand. Wow, a guaranteed persona ride at least once. That's actually pretty good. And of course second skill gets plus 2k power during your turn. And then Kiwame self, grade 3, 3k power and skillless. If you persona ride this turn, this card gets plus 1 crit. So that persona ride is just really some extra bonus, but its second skill is Auto Vanguard. This card can also be played by soul blasting a copy of himself. That explains why there's the persona ride thing right there. But when this card attacks, cost counter blast 1, draw a card, choose 1 card from your hand and call it to rearguard. And it has to be an open rearguard unfortunately, so yes, you can do some multi-attack, but you will need to have a way to clear out that rearguard circle first before you actually do that. But other than that, it's a decent up plus 1. It's really a counter blast 1 to draw a card and then get 1 more attack if possible. So it's okay. And now to Hachisuka Kotetsu. Here's the starter. Move on to Sento version, which is grade 1, 8k power, and its skill is Act! Vanguard once per turn, costs Soul Blast 1, reveal 2 cards from your ride deck that has Hachisuka Kotetsu in their card names. Choose a card from your drop zone and put it in your hand. Alright, that condition of revealing your ride deck is like not really a condition, because technically your opponent should already know that is going to be your ride deck. And the recycling can be nice, especially because you're going to be discarding a card for the ride deck, so you're not going to really lose any important pieces. And what's also nice about this card is that it's an axe, so you can actually play a bunch of cards that probably require you to discard a card before you actually play this card skill to recycle that one discarded card that you would want. So many things that you can really do with it. And of course, second skill, lazy as ever, plus 2k during your turn. And then to the Toku version of him, grade 2, 10k power, and its skill is auto when placed on Vanguard by riding on top of his Sento self. Weird to see it the other way around, but whatever. Cost counter blast 1, search your deck for 1 Urashima Kotetsu and call it to rearguard, which was that one grade 1 that had 5k power and gained 5k power on both players' turns if you have a card in the same column as that unit. So this card pretty much just gives you a +1. That can be a 10k booster pretty much every single turn. And of course, because the archetype requires to be at Kotetsu, well, this is just another ride line that has Kotetsu in its name, so you can always make use of it. And second skill +2k on rear guard during your turn, whatever. To the Kwame self. Grade 3, Turkey Power, and skill is count Vanguard. If you have 5 rear guards, your whole front row gets a 5k power, and all back row units get boosts. And this is what I mean, like cards like the grade 1 duel can actually be very helpful because they can help you do some recovery, because this card requires you to be at full field to get full benefits. And what's also very nice is that the power boost and the skill lasts on both players' turns, so as long as you have everything on the field, well, you're going to be at a 15k base rear guards, 18k base Vanguard. Of course, it will struggle against the control decks because of this aspect, but still there are ways to get you pluses, recovery, so this is actually not too bad, and in my opinion, much more consistent than some other archetypes. So that's it for this stream. That was a lot of cards. And honestly, I don't really care too much about Token Ranbu, but I am excited for the second D booster cards. Especially Carnidals. I mean, so far the reveals that we got for Carnidals is just so disappointing. Please give me another set order searcher. And maybe give some pressure to the tokens, please. But on that, have a nice day.